Obama is set to announce the new attorney general, but he's going to wait until after the elections to do it. Now, that's not really a very good sign. If Eric Holder's replacement was going to be a good choice for the country, well, you'd think he'd want to put it out there. Seems like by holding it until after the elections, he's probably going to choose someone who is very polarizing to the majority of the American people. But another sure sign of a bad deal for the American public, health care costs are not going to be announced until after the election. Now, enrollment this year begins on November 14th, which is 11 days after the election. Compare that to last year, it had an October 1st enrollment. Tim Phillips, president of Free Market Americans for Prosperity, said this is more than just a glitch. The administration's decision to withhold the cost of this law until after the election day is just more proof that this is a bad deal for Americans. Many states are already reporting increases. Alaska is the hardest hit with a 35 to 40% increase. Iowa is reporting double-digit hikes. And for the average Louisiana policyholder, premiums have gone up by 53%. So you can see why they wanted to hold this decision off until after the elections. Obviously, keeping everyone just buckled down in fear over Ebola. Then they're going to drop the bombs of how much people are going to have to pay for their health insurance to treat that Ebola. Now, up for vote as well in some other states are GMO labeling laws. And right on time, a somewhat recent pro-GMO editorial in Scientific American takes aim at these labeling laws, calling them unscientific. The editors claim that it would be unsafe to give consumers the false impression that GMOs are unsafe. They go on to say the U.S. Food and Drug Administration has tested all the GMOs on the market to determine whether they are toxic or allergenic. And the editorial states that they are not. Now, why is this an issue? Well, let's take a look at this convenient Venn diagram. It shows the relationship between Monsanto and the U.S. government. And as you can see, there are many executives from Monsanto that hold high positions within the government, including Michael Taylor, who is the VP of Monsanto, who also happens to be the deputy commissioner of the FDA. So the FDA has investigated the genetically modified crops created by Monsanto, and they find that they're completely safe, even though there are many other tests out there that counter those claims. So obviously it's a very huge conflict of interest there. You can check out the rest of that article at Infowars.com. It gets into many of the things that Scientific American is claiming. They're basing these claims off of hand-picked studies, but it's science. And if you question it, well, then you're just not very scientific. You're a conspiracy theorist. But what about this? Here is yet another scientific study that suggests that there is no global warming crisis at hand. This new paper is published in the Open Journal of Atmospheric and Climate Change. It's by a renowned professor of physics and expert on spectroscopy, Dr. Herman Hard. And he finds that climate sensitivity to a doubling of CO2 levels is only about 43 Celsius, which is about 7 times less than what the IPCC is claiming. But I'm sure that that's not scientific enough for Scientific American. But of course, as we have shown repeatedly, results and testing can all be politicized. All the results can be manufactured to help further a certain agenda. Even seemingly impartial internet rankings sites, here I'm talking about Alexa. Alexa is a site that purports to measure the traffic of thousands of websites around the world, and then it assigns a ranking to those sites. Well, according to data for July through September, almost every major alternative website saw its rankings drop, while pro-government sites mostly went up. Of course, Alexa Internet Inc. is a subsidiary of Amazon. Now, we're talking about familiar names here in alternative media like The Drudge Report, Breitbart, InfoWars, Newsmax, WND, FoxNews.com, and The Daily Caller, many others as well. They saw their rankings plummet, while sites such as NPR.org, The Daily Chaos, Democracy Now!, and Media Matters all rose in the rankings. And now WND interviewed several of these people as well as Infowars.com. all of which have reported an increase in their web traffic. And WND editor and CEO Joseph Farah, who we've had on the show many times, said that this smacks at first glance like a deliberate effort to destroy and discredit alternative news sites, especially those that don't grovel at the feet of the government and seek to be the watchdogs that the American press are supposed to be. And he says that the Alexa rankings over the last week suggest the company has thrown out its role as a politically impartial internet ranking service and has thrown its lot in with search engines like Google and Bing, which admittedly give preferences through their algorithms to establishment internet content sites like CNN and Huffington Post. And this is just one of the many reasons why it is so important to make sure that whoever you vote for coming up in the midterms is concerned with net neutrality and is pro net neutrality. Otherwise, there's going to be more where that came from, more of the establishment media being pushed to the top, while alternative news sites, and we don't even want to call ourselves the alternative news. We are the mainstream news. We are the tip of the spear. You don't want to see our results being pushed to the bottom of the barrel. So make sure you're voting based on how these people are going to say net neutrality is going to be saved for the American people. Now, thank you so much for tuning in to the show tonight. If you're watching us on YouTube, please become a subscriber to the Alex Jones channel, and also head to Prison Planet TV, where, yes, you can become a subscriber, and your subscription gets you many, many more things than what you can find on YouTube. There's about 18 years worth of content on Prison Planet, things that you won't find on the internet, only at prisonplanet.tv. And of course, you can share your username and password with up to 11 people at the same time. We'll see you here again tomorrow at 7 p.m. Central.
Introducing the first proprietary oxygen-based intestinal cleanser, OxyPowder. Backed by FDA-approved phase 1, 2, and 3 clinical trials. All the toxins from the air, the food, the water ultimately ends up in the gut or affects the gut. Take your health into your own hands and start cleansing your body today with OxyPowder. Secure your OxyPowder today at InfoWarsLife.com. That's InfoWarsLife.com.
You are watching the InfoWars Nightly News, which airs 7 p.m. Central at InfoWarsNews.com. Members can share their passcodes with up to 11 other people, and your support is helping us defend liberty worldwide.